Secrétaire parlementaire du Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Honourable colleagues on both sides of the House, I'm pleased to rise in this chamber today to speak in support of Bill S-201, the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act, which passed the committee and third reading stages in the other place on April 14th of this year. First put forward by the Honourable James Cohen, Senator for Nova Scotia, and moved in the House of Commons by my colleague for Don Valley West, S-201 would allow one of Canada's most important and core values to become entrenched in our laws. As Canadians, we pride ourselves on our Charter and human rights because they provide every single Canadian with equal protections from various forms of discrimination and disadvantage. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, to date, we've lagged behind on the key issue of genetic discrimination, leaving thousands of Canadians vulnerable because of their very essence, their DNA. The Office of the Privacy Commissioner of Canada, Mr. Speaker, produced a report in March of 2012 on the potential effects of such a bill. And they made the case that one's genetic makeup represents, in the most personal of ways, and I quote, one's very identity. Mr. Speaker, if we as a nation of equals value the protection of an individual based on their gender, based on their sex, or based on their religion, the question is, how can we not seek to protect the very basis of their being? And the short answer, Mr. Speaker, is that we can't. I believe strongly that we as the House and we as the entire body of Parliament recognize that reality to be a fact. On at least 3 separate occasions has such a bill made its way through the committee structure, including receiving extensive praise from the Standing Committee on Human Rights from the other place, and 3 times has the gap existed in our rights and protections failed to be bridged. Now finally we have an opportunity to change that. Monsieur le Président, je suis fier de faire partie d'un gouvernement qui valorise et respecte la science, les scientifiques et la communauté scientifique. C'est ce qui explique pourquoi notre gouvernement a supprimé les règles qui limitaient le travail des scientifiques et ne leur permettaient pas de parler de leur travail pourtant si important. En effet, Monsieur le Président, si nous voulons donner aux Canadiens et Canadiennes un avenir plus prospère, nous devons écouter ce que la science nous apprend. Et il faut s'assurer que nos lois, en effet des lois qui sont en place pour nous protéger, évoluent au même rythme que la technologie avance. Monsieur le Président, le Canada est une société qui valorise la liberté et la vie privée. Donner le pouvoir à des employeurs, à des compagnies d'assurance ou à tout autre groupe d'utiliser les détails les plus privés des personnes contre eux et contre nos valeurs en tant que Canadiens. J'ai mentionné, Monsieur le Président, la vitesse du progrès scientifique. Eh bien, entre 2003 et 2016, le nombre de tests génétiques disponibles a passé de 100 à 33 000. Ces tests sont tellement importants pour permettre, par exemple, à des femmes de découvrir la possibilité de développer un cancer du sein plus rapidement et ainsi augmenter les chances de succès des traitements. Mr. Speaker, I myself have had cancer twice, and as a survivor, I'm well aware of the positive impact this type of technology has had and can have moving forward. Not just for me, Mr. Speaker, not just for the citizens of my riding of Aujourd'hui, but for Canadians from coast to coast to coast. But, Mr. Speaker, without proper legislation, this reality is a double-edged sword. Billions of dollars in genome research has no doubt saved tens of thousands of Canadians affected by a variety of illnesses because we can now detect them in ways we couldn't before and therefore treat them better than we could before. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, for diseases such as cancer, time is everything. Time is life. But it also means, Mr. Speaker, that there are about 33,000 new ways for someone to try and seep into the personal lives of an individual, ultimately giving them the power to possibly fire, overcharge, or discriminate against them. Should Bill S-201 not pass through this chamber, Canada may face serious public health challenges, where Canadians who are concerned about being treated unfairly due to the fact that their employers or insurers require them to disclose the results of genetic testing will no longer seek such beneficial testing. The consequences, Mr. Speaker, could be that thousands of individuals may never know their chances of developing certain illnesses because they fear the consequences of discrimination more. So, Mr. Speaker, we can live in a country that proudly respects science and advances the scientific community has given us, while also protecting the rights and freedoms we as Canadians so proudly enjoy. And that is exactly what Bill S-201 seeks to accomplish. At its core, this bill addresses an important change that needs to be made to both the Canadian Labour Code and the Canadian Human Rights Act. It is not, however, without its challenges. We are a government of collaboration, committed to engaging with our provincial and territorial counterparts to ensure that certain parts of this bill do not interfere with their jurisdiction. We must nonetheless remain committed to supporting the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act after ensuring that the rights of the provinces and territories are safeguarded and used to effectively promote the same principles that this bill puts forward. It is my hope that this chamber can see the Genetic Non-Discrimination Act for what it is, a crucial step in the move towards protecting our rights, our freedoms, and our privacy. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I think we can all agree that neither the state nor any other group, be it a corporation or an organization, has any business knowing the genetic makeup of Canadians and should not have the power to use this information negatively against any Canadians. We are a country of values where we respect an individual's rights above all else. The Genetic Non-Discrimination Act is one key step in encouraging those rights and freedoms continue uninhibited for all the people that this House represents. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Merci.